Okay, today I'm gonna talk about router in React. So, what is router? Router is a JavaScript library which is used to manipulate window.history so that navigate between components. Okay. So since it is a JavaScript library, we need to install that into our React Router into our project first. Now we open React Router official page. Come to this, click the web. As you can see here, so there are three tabs: core, web, native React Router. So I'm gonna install this first. So npm install. So what is the difference between these three tabs of React Router? React Router is for web development. React Router native is for mobile development, and the React Router, in this case, it is React Core, right? So, so this is for any development. But in the real life project, we either use a React Router DOM or React Router native, right? So, what is router? Router manage routes, which and each route match path or URL with its component. How component change? So first, click something on the page, or you not only click, you can do anything you want on the page to trigger path change. Then router will monitor this path change and display corresponding component. And yeah, next we're gonna use an example to show you how to use React Router. Again, we use this empty React project as a start, and finally we're gonna convert that into this. And this now is still the static page, right? So when you click this a tag, gonna jump to either about.html, home.html. But when we convert this into a responsive React project, it's gonna be something like this, right? So path should be like something like this. Whatever, we just use this as a beginning, empty React project. So again, as usual, we need to copy these page elements to the root component. Yeah, and after that, we need to apply CSS on that. So we just copy this example CSS folder from example folder and paste it in the public, and we want to use it, so we have to still import this first. Current folder, CSS folder, bootstrap.css. Yeah, so it has already applied on this, right? So there's not one more thing, right? So again, we need to make the JavaScript syntax to change the JavaScript syntax to JSX, right? So replace class to class name. Okay, no error message anymore, right? So where do we start? We need to modify this navi link or a tag navigate section first, right? So at the beginning, from the static page example, these are all a tags, right? We need to change this a tag to a link component. So a tag jump to another page, and the link component jump to another component. It is not jumping to another component, it's just trigger the path change, right? Be more specific, is path change. It will trigger path change. How do we use this? We need to import this first, link from React router down, and right here we do link home. Right? Of course, we need to apply a CSS on that. It just seems as what we do on a tag. Okay? So now we don't need these two a tags anymore. Home, about, right? Come to, it give us an error. It says should not use link outside a router. So what should we do? We wrap a router. So it is not outside, right? But we cannot use router directly because router is not router. It is either BrowserRouter or hash router. We have talked about from last class. Okay. Yeah, now it works. Fill the prop tab. The prop 2 is marked as recur and link, but its value is undefined. So the link needs a 2. What is 2? 2 is the path you're gonna navigate to. So now we want to navigate to a home component. This one we want to navigate to about, right? So this part they use prop tab, a prop restriction, right, to limit this to prop. It must be required, must be passed, must be declared, right? So now we click this home about, right? So you have noticed that the path has been changed, modified successfully, but this display section didn't make any change, right? So because you haven't associated with this component with the link component, right? The about and home component with the link component. So what you want to do? Yes, you want to declare route component for this. So a b c d e, declare route component to work with links. A b c d e f. Okay, so how do we use that? We need to import this first. Okay, so route. There are two ways to use route. The first one is route path home component home serve close tag. The second is to wrap a component inside of a route tag. So we don't have a home or a route component yet, so we need to declare these two components right now. So the hello, we just change it to home, and welcome. Welcome to about. Right? So home. About component, right? So change about. Okay, and then import this. And then we need to import import all right. Okay. Again, it said you should not use route outside a router. So the route component always should also nested into route into either BrowserRouter or HashRouter, because you use router to manage routes, right? So you need to wrap that with this route component. Yep. Okay. As you can see here, so both these two components has been displayed at the same time. It seems like it's not working very well. Why? Because actually you are using two different BrowserRouter to manage link and route component, right? So you shouldn't do that. So what you want to do, you just use one router to manage all link and route component inside of this application. So how do we do that? We just simply did this, delete this. How to manage all link and component, link and route component. We just wrap that with in the index, the file entry, so that the all link and route component could be managed by BrowserRouter, right? So import router browser. Okay. I'm about page. Oh, okay. Okay. Home component. About component. App. Okay. So we need to delete this. Home. About home. About. Okay. Oh, yeah. We forgot the path of this about, right? So. Yeah. Home about, right? Yeah. Each of the route. Each of the route component need a path, and you need to specify component that you want to associate with this path inside of the self-closed route tag, or you specify it here. Okay, so there are two ways to write this route component. So the last thing is to manage all routes in browser, right? Yeah. Second thing, after we have finished this link part, but as you can see here, so at the beginning from that static page example, this link should be highlighted when you click this, but this one doesn't. So we need to create a file link component. So first is how do we highlight the active link tag? We use navi link. There are two ways that we can do that. The first is we use navi link plus bootstrap. So right here we don't use link, we change it to navi link. Right? So what does navi link do? Navi link basically just give you some highlight. When you just give the highlight style on active link or active tag. But why it works? Because this is the part of Bootstrap. So Bootstrap has the how to say, has a a style on this. So when you click this, it will just give you a highlight on this active link component. But what if you wanna do customize? You wanna customize the color, fonts, or any other styles of this link component. You can use active class name component. What does this mean? So there is actually there is a attribute called active class name. We just name it as nav active class name. this active class name is the attribute of navi link component, or this is optional prop of navi link component, right? So once you set up this variable, then you can use it directly. So I'm just gonna show you right here. So suppose I create a app.css file, and we give it a knife and a background color orange. Yep, it's orange now, right? As you can see, it blinks, right? It doesn't really work works well because the strength of Bootstrap is very high. So if you want to use your own style, you need to specify that, reach the strength or authority of this style for it. About home, right? So it just works fine. It works. So encapsulate your own nav component. As you can see here, so we have passed many like 3 prop to this nav link component, right? But 2 of them are repeated: class name, active class name, right? So in our real life project, so there are only 2 things are variable in this component. One is to, another one is the body tag, the body of this tag, right? So the body of this element, right? So rest of them, whatever you wanna pass the ID, name, address, right? They should be passed like in an object, right? So we just don't want to repeat this class name or active class name again and again. So we want to encapsulate our own nav component. It is pretty simple actually. So in this case, we want a my nav link component, and we have index.js. Let's just copy this. Right. So open this, and this is my nav link. Right. So instead of this, it should be nav link, right? Okay, so okay, as you can see here, so there are 2 home components, right? Either whenever you click either one of them, it doesn't change because the path and body, the tag body is all they are all hard coded, right? So you need to pass this content of the tag body or the path of this link component to your own nav link, component, right? So how do you do that? Actually, this nav link has two prompts to it, which could help you to do so. So let's just add the path to it first. Okay. How do we use that? This can actually accept some props from its parent class. So refresh the page. As you can see here, so the path value and the children. What is the children? Children is actually the tag body, right? Home and about. I can change it here so that, right? So it is actually the tag body. So using these two props, we can customize our own links, right? So in this way, you can pass the path dynamically, right? Right? Okay. So this is how we use Navlink to encapsulate our own link component. First thing is to, and second is children. We just use these two props, right? Okay. We have finished this Navlink section, navigation section, and next we're gonna come to this display section, right? We're gonna deal with the route component right here. This part, route component, right? So we need, before we proceed, we need to define the difference between regular component and route component. The first is syntax difference, right? So the regular components render like this, and the route component is something like this. Component. As you may have noticed here, right? So the second difference is file location. So these components, this route components is displayed by path change, the path change, right? So actually, there are pages controlled by the router, right? So it could be display or not. It's all controlled by router. They are not regular component. The regular component is something like this, header. It always displayed here. So normally we don't put these components into components. Instead, we have a pages folder. and this pages component we just paste it here, and back to this. We want to use it, we import that from pages. Okay, no problem. Regular components, regular pages.route components. And next, we need to talk about switch. So what is switch? Suppose in the component, we have another test component. In the component folder, test. Not this folder. Not this folder. We from this folder. Test. So suppose there is a scenario like this. We have home path, but right here I display test component. So what do you think? Will it just only display the home component without test component, or the second one gonna cover the first one, which means the test component gonna be displayed, which is gonna cover the first one, or the both displayed? Let's have a test. We want to use it, we need to test. About home. I think you can see here, they both displayed. So what is the logic of this? So all components root component will be displayed, which match the path without switch. So there are two theme paths, and each path linked to different component, but when they have same path, it will be both displayed. But it seems like this is not quite reasonable. Why? Because if you want to display home and a test at the same time, why don't you just combine these two components at the same time, right? And another reason is, suppose you in the middle you have a lot of components, and at the end of the list there is a home component, right? So if we just match one by one until reach the bottom of the list, it will cause performance issue, right? So only first matched component will be displayed with switch tag. This is also a function of React Router, right? So I have a switch. It's very simple. You just declare switch here and wrap that with this root components. Now about home, right? So only one component is displayed, even though they have same path. So what if I put this test on top of it, right? So test component. right. So this is the way we use switch. So there is a small issue I need to clarify. CSS lost on refresh page. CSS lost. Okay. So what does this mean? I'm gonna delete this component for the moment, right? So suppose you have a home about, right? So let's just take a look at this. So I click this, I refresh the page. The CSS is still there. So what if I add a prefix on that, right? So this might be a company name or username or something like that, right? So it is quite normal in real life project. I have so I just simply add a prefix on top of the path. So come back to this home about. When I refresh the page, the CSS style will be lost. So why it happens? So as you can see here, now when we request CSS, what it gives us, what is the response? It is actually the index page. It is the index page. So why? Suppose I have a component here, right? So suppose I just tap something doesn't exist. It will give you the index page in default. This is the default function of this React scaffold, right? But so it means that we have failed to request this bootstrap.css. Why? Because when you request this CSS, because you append this, you add the prefix on top of this path. So React is not be able to find this because of what? Because when you open this public folder and index page and you look at here, where do you find this CSS file? You find it from current folder. So it is equal to it is not public folder anymore. It is fecal, something like fecal. Because this href will treat this prefix as part of the folder, a part of your localhost address, right? So they can not tell the difference between them. So how do we get rid of this problem? We don't use dot. We don't use this dot. Means current folder. We just remove this dot. And we come back to the page. Sorry. like click home, click about, refresh, right? So it doesn't affect. So this, when you use CSS bootstrap, so this fickle will not be treated as part of your localhost public folder address. Okay, so .css bootstrap .css2 CSS bootstrap says there is another way. When we analyze this index page at the beginning of this class, we have talked about this public URL. I said this represents the public folder path. So I said there is some advantage using this percentage symbol right here, but I didn't specify what is the advantage. Actually, now it is the time. So it will give you the correct path when whatever your path is here in the address bar. Right? So it still works. Oh no. I refresh the page. It still works, right? So the second way is and there is another way we can do is just convert using hash router instead. Yeah, this one you can try it yourself, and this is less recommended, right? And the rest of them are pretty popular. You can use either one of them to deal with this. And 6 switch CSS lost. We need a redirect. So what is redirect? Back to this. I am gonna import this first. So when you open this project, as you can see here, so the display section is empty. It is blank. Why? Because you didn't trigger any path change, or if the path is empty string, there's nothing displayed here. So display section is blank when path is empty. Redirect give a default component to be displayed. What does this mean? So I give it a home. Oh. equal home. Did I? So React Router wrote React Router. So if nothing, if the path is empty, so finally we're gonna display home. Oh, okay. So there's no home anymore. There's only fico.home. Right? Let's just change it back. So home, about, home, about. Right? I open this project again. Right? So this is not blank anymore. Even though you tap something that it doesn't exist, it will just display home. Because what? Because you have no match in this route, components, right? So you give it a random path, doesn't match home, doesn't match about. Finally, it will reach the bottom, and it will redirect to the home component, right? So this is very useful. It will redirect to a default component to be displayed on the display section when the path is empty, or if the path is empty, or there's no path matched. Right? The final thing is how path to how the two URL or path match this path. You will say, oh, it just you will say, oh, it just matches it that way. But actually, there are some details. So suppose right here, I'm gonna delete this redirect for the moment, so that we can demonstrate you clearly. So suppose 2 is home and A and B and C to match path which is home. Does it work? Will this component display? Let's try. No, it doesn't. Right? Oh, okay, it works. Right? So when you are going to this path, home, A, B, and C, so the home component would be displayed. Yes. So suppose when the 2 is home and a match home A and B and C, right here, A, B, C. As you can see here, it doesn't work, right? The home component cannot be displayed here. So, and C. Suppose you have A, home, B, and C to match home. Does it work? No, it doesn't work either, right? So what does this mean? 2 value starts with same field as path value, it will work, right? And or to value has exactly same value as path, it will work, or does not work at all. Okay? Right? So you just remember that there are two scenarios that it will work. So the two values start with the same field with the path value, it will work, and or the two value and the path value, basically it is exactly same, it will work. And except these two scenarios, the path cannot be, the component cannot work with link, right? So there is exact match with fuzzy match. Right. So this one is works. So because it is implementing some fuzzy match, because sometimes you are going to user dot address dot province, right? Even this component cannot find this province component. It will give you at least a user component so that you can use it, right? So suppose we have exact keyword here, and let's try and see if it works. It doesn't work anymore, right? Because you use exact, it means that the to value and the path value should be exactly same. So the conclusion is for the to and path match is fuzzy match in default, and use exact keyword in route component unless you have to, or it will cause some potential problems. Right? So the fuzzy match is default, right? So you just leave it fuzzy, and sometimes you need to make the to value and the path value exactly same. Then you just open and use this exact keyword, so then it could match each other exactly same. Right? So these are the basic usage of React Router. And tomorrow, maybe next class, we're gonna talk about React Router in depth and how the states and the props could be passed between the route components in the last class. Okay, so this is pretty much about the React Router today.